Welcome to In It to Win It. This is Steve Barton, and thank you for tuning in. We are here for Monday market moves, what happened last week in the markets, and what I expect for next week. Alrighty, let's go to the charts. Starting out as always with the S&P 500. Okay, we just keep tapping on all-time highs. On Friday, we had massive buying and then massive selling. On Friday. Usually that's a sign of retail buying and then institutional selling. So I think we're coming up on some topping patterns here. I would really be shocked if the S&P doesn't correct at least back down to the 200 moving average. The dollar is also flat. The S&P 500 was flat as well. So is the dollar. Closed out the week at 105.85. I expect that this will continue to slowly chop up simply because central banks across the planet are starting to cut rates while the Fed still hasn't yet. And since the Fed is based in the dollar, that should make this fiat currency slightly stronger in comparison to the other ones. Yields. Okay, so the yield curve inversion here, this is the 10-year yield minus the 2-year yield, has shot up. It went up as much as 25% change from the last week. So we're just starting to carve this out back up above the 200 moving average. RSI is getting a little high, but I think we're approaching getting out of clown world. Vegas odds right now have them cutting in September. So we'll see if that plays out. 1 month treasuries. This ticked back up. So last week I said that now we went lower here than we had in 11 or 12 months and closed the week around like 5.28, 5.29. Now we closed the week back up at 5.37 again. So we were at like 5.38 for a long time. But the fact that we bounced down, I think that this is going to start paying less as time goes on. And gold is up 1/3%, closed the week at 23.39. Tapped on this 50-day moving average and then came back down. I would be pretty shocked if 2300 doesn't get tested again, but this chart is looking super bullish. We have that long cup and handle pattern that's finally broken out. I think gold is just kind of consolidating here before a move higher, but as far as any bets on the metal itself, there was a tick that I caught on CEF, but that also has silver. I don't really see any here except maybe approaches to 2300 or next level up. Next level support after 23 is going to be 2250. Gold divided by the S&P 500. S&P 500 is outperforming, but when we zoom out on this on a long time frame, we're pretty cheap when it comes to gold compared to the S&P 500. I fully expect this is going to reroute or re-rate up to 1-to-1. Right now it's at 4.28. And gold divided by GDX, so gold divided by the miners. We're betting on the miners here. Also gold, but more miners. So we want to see this chart go down. It is, we basically just want to see this come down. This is what it comes down to. Still has a little more room for gold to outperform the miners here, but I think over the coming months, the miners are going to outperform gold. And a physical bet here had a limit order hit at $21.80 on CEF, which is down 0.2% for the week. It was just a tick if you could catch it on Wednesday. I had a limit order in for a while, I think, so it finally hit. But basically this is, physical gold and silver that you can bet on in the stock market. And GDX is down 0.2% for the week. I still like limit orders around $32.25 and then $30.50. That would kind of line up right here with this rising 200-day moving average. But like this fund a lot for easy beta way to play the gold miners. And if you want to get into the juniors, you got GDXJ down 0.7% for the week. Hitting on the 200 weekly moving average, which is a pretty strong moving average. It is starting to slope down, which isn't good. High RSI, so I don't really see any entries here. I'd like to see this correct back down. This also has a rising 200-day moving average, but we want to see the RSI get sold off a little more. It's at 46. Ideally, we want to see it at 30 or below. And Franco-Nevada is up 1.5% for the week. Still like these limit orders down here around 114 or so, maybe 115. Downward sloping 200 moving average, so don't like that. It hit on the 50 daily and then shot back down. But yeah, still fantastic company, the best gold royalty company on the planet. And, double bottom right there at 114. Maybe it'll come in for a triple bottom. I think it will. Wheat and precious metals down 1.1% for the week. Looks like it's trying to carve out a little bit of a bottom here. Technicals are kind of middle of the road, so would like to see it either just grind sideways here or come down a little bit. There is some support where it is now, but I like it a little bit more around $50 to $52. So somewhere around this 100 moving average. Maybe we get lucky and it gets down here around the 200 moving average, but rising 200 moving average, but technicals are still kind of middle of the road. And Gold Royalty Corporation down 0.7% for the week. We are interviewing Peter Benke of Gold Royalty Corporation coming up at the Rural Symposium. So there's going to be several of these companies that we're going to be interviewing. To submit questions for them, we're going to go to the YouTube homepage and then click on the community tab. And you can see the companies here where you submit your questions for the ones we've already lined up for the Rural Symposium. We got Origin Royalties, Centaurus, Uranium Royalty Corporation, and Gold Royalty Corporation. Submit all your questions for these guys. Give me some content. Find out, what is it you want to hear about. Also going to interview Teo of Munduro Capital. So make sure you put your questions in under the community tab here under the corresponding companies. What I'm also going to do is I haven't scheduled Danielle, Jim Rickards, Robert Friedland, but what I'm going to be doing is I'll be walking around with those clip-on mics, and if I can catch them as they come off stage, then I'm going to interview them. So what I'll do is I'll also put up some, by the time this episode airs, there'll be submit questions for Jim Rickards, submit questions for Naomi Prinz, Grant Williams, and I'll go through these. And I'm pretty good at getting people off stage like this. So put your questions in for them down in the same community tab, and and I'll ask them on the air. All righty, Gold Royalty Corporation. So I like this one a lot. So much so that I'm going to be putting in some more limit orders, probably around $1.30 or so, maybe $1.35. I think it's a steal now, and that may be a little bit too much, too cheap there, but we'll see. So hopefully I will see you guys out there. There is a link in the pinned comment below for the Rural Symposium. I know a lot of you have already joined, and I'll be seeing you out there in person. Look forward to meeting you. And for those of you that can't make the trip out to Florida, you can do the live stream, which I did last year, and it was a lot of these companies that we're looking at here is where I got it from. Okay, Metalla Royalty, love this company. Down 3.5% for the week. As far as any limit entry orders, I think around where we are now. RSI isn't quite in the toilet yet, so maybe you can get it a little bit cheaper, around like 260 or so, but I think now is a good deal if you can hold on to this for the next 3 to 5 years. EMX Royalty down 2.7% for the week. I kind of like a limit order right here, right around this 200 moving average, which is like $1.75. Origin Royalties up 2.3% for the week. There's another one where we have an interview at the Rural Symposium, so submit your questions in that community tab for Patty NIKL. Look forward to this one as well. I think it's a deal now. As far as technical entries, I'd like to see this sell off just a little bit more. Maybe you can get it at like 78 cents or quite a bit of back support back here down around 67. And Barrick Gold up 0.75%. Okay, so there's a lot of lines here, but basically what we're looking at is we've got a Fibonacci retracement. The technicals are middle of the road. I would rather see this come back down and get back down around 16 bucks. I know a lot of you bought right here at $16. Nice catch. I think you might be able to hit that again. Maybe first limit order here around like 16.35, and then another one down around 16 bucks. And Newmont down 0.9% for the week. Still like a limit order around 40 bucks. I think that there's a pretty good chance this comes back down to its 200 moving average at like 38, 38.50. So I'd probably be patient for that, because by the time it gets down here to 40, although there is a technical resistance there, I like the 200 moving average a lot more. I think by the time it gets there, the RSI will be in the 30s. And Agnico Eagle, they will also be out at the symposium. I'm going to try and snag an interview with them. They are up quarter of 1% for the week. Some flat resistance here around 63 or so, but technicals are pretty stretched here, so I'd much rather see an entry down here around like 58 to 60 bucks. And B2 Gold is up 1.9% for the week. I like, I'm getting more open to this one, especially because of their amazing dividend. They do have some risk, but back here we're talking $2.50 for an entry point, and I think 250 is still the number. I think that one will probably hit, and that would be my entry if I were going to get it. Also, Joe says that B2 Gold cut its holdings of Calibre Mining to under 5%. So they had a bigger stake than that, and it went down. G Mining Ventures down 1.7% for the week. Okay, we had a heck of a run up right here when they basically passed the Reunion Gold. They got the vote for it. It's in, and project remains on time, on budget. We'll see. They get in commercial production in second half of 2024. It's almost complete. They're basically stockpiling, ore ready to put it through. So they are very, very, very close. And silver down 0.2% for the week. Still got a lot of support around 28.50. I think that's the level that we're probably going to hit. RSI is middle of the road, so is MACD's getting down there. Stochastic's starting to tilt up, so maybe we kind of hit it. But this bull flag right here, I think, is going to break to the upside. It's just a matter of catching these little pullbacks when it gets cheaper. And gold divided by silver is at 79 to 1 right now. So it takes 79 ounces of silver to buy 1 ounce of gold. I don't really see any patterns here other than it's telling you that silver is cheap compared to gold. SILJ is down 2% for the week. As far as entries on here, a lot of these just have middle of the road technicals, but maybe a stink bid down here around 10 bucks or something, I might get interested then. I've already got positions in this, so I'm not really looking to add more, but if it got down around $10, I think I'd do it. Pan American Silver down 2.2% for the week. Still like limit orders around 18 or 19 bucks. That would line up with all this support back here. Around the handle of the cup, and a lot of support going way back. SILV, so this is Silvercrest Metals, our little darling, very leveraged to the silver price. I would like to see silver correct a little bit more than maybe we can, heck, if this got down to the 200 moving average, I think that would be a steal. But again, middle of the road technicals, don't really see any entry points here. I'd be waiting kind of back here for maybe like $7.25, somewhere around there. And copper, paging Dr. Copper, down 1.1% for the week. So we hit the record high up here of $5.20. And since then, we've been correcting down, probably pricing in the incoming recession. $4.25 is going to be the next support level. I think it'll hit it. After that, it's going to be around $4. COPX, the Copper Miners ETF, is down 0.25%. Don't really see any entries right here, although if it got down to $40, I'd probably be a buyer. COPJ, same kind of thing. Might be getting a head and shoulders pattern here, which would suggest if it breaks below this white line that it played out, And so we'll see how this works out. I think maybe a starter position at $21 and then second entry at $19.50. Arizona Metals down 7% for the week. I'm not sure what happened here, but this is kind of interesting. Okay, so this white line we've been drawing as a trend line for a while, and kind of that we can get rid of that now. But if you look back here, there is a decent amount of back support back there. Look at that. RSI hit 34 on Thursday. Kind of compelling, right? I'd like to see just a little bit more selling. Maybe I'm just a little cheap, but I think around 135 would be a pretty slick entry point. Here's another one that we're interviewing, Mundero Capital. I like this one a lot. This is a very leveraged play to copper. I can go into more detail when we have Teo on the show. I think we're going to have a fun interview. This is super leveraged to copper. They're basically a prospect royalty generator, and got this one from the one of the rural boot camps. Got in back here at $11, and what did I get? 11.7 cents per share. Got another limit order in here for 13 cents. So you have to do it in increments of 0.5 and 12.5. It just seemed a little bit too cheap. Although that would hit right there. Maybe I should lower that half a cent. But, not much volume here. I mean, today on Friday, today, only 18,000 shares of volume, and they're only trading at, less than 15 cents. So limit orders only. And uranium up 1.6% for the week. This $82 range just kind of seems to be holding, which is good. And the way you can play that is SRUUF, the Sprott Physical Uranium Trust. Love this site. They're at what discount were they at? 7.8% discount. We've got about $5.5 billion worth of uranium sitting in a warehouse, unavailable to the utilities. 65.5 million pounds. So not the super sweet discount of, north of 10%, but, almost 8%. That's still pretty good. Cameco down 4.6% for the week. I think kind of anywhere around $50 is a pretty good deal for this one, because Atomprom, limit order for $38.50. This one's down 0.4% for the week, but they just paid a dividend, so that brought the share price down a little bit. I think $38.50 has been pretty reliable going back here. Maybe if you're cheap, you could even do it at like $37.50. Although it's less likely to hit. URA, okay, so for these next three, $30 for URA. Look at that, it's 5 cents, $1.05 below that. I think anywhere along this 200 moving average. Drew this circle in week before last, just as kind of best buys. They just paid a dividend too, so it's coming down. Wasn't much of one though. But same thing here with URNM, anywhere around $50. And look, we're even cheaper than that now at $49.24. URNJ had a limit order hit for $24.50 and have another one here for $23. I think anywhere around $25 is pretty good. And look, we're even cheaper than that. RSI, stochastic, they're all pretty low. This is URNJ divided by URNM. So basically comparing the juniors to the majors, and the juniors are slightly outperforming, although they're much cheaper here. So I like bets on, if you already have a uranium position and you're looking for more leverage and going into the future here, I'm putting my money into URNJ and not URNM now at this point in the cycle. And UROY down 5% for the week, but look at this. We got a little double bottom right here, $2.25 a share. RSI, stochastic, MACD are getting kind of low. So not a bad entry point, I don't think. I would like to see this come down and then kind of bounce just a little bit. That would make me feel a little bit more comfortable, but kind of compelling right there. And energy fuels, flat but volatile for the week. I think that a entry point here around like 550, which it almost hit this last week, or maybe down here around like 525. So basically trying to catch this range right in here, I think would be pretty compelling. And Uranium Energy Corporation down 1.8% for the week. I kind of like limit orders around 550. So we line this back up, going back, back support right here. $5.50 looks kind of compelling. That would create a little triple bottom right here, and that would bring the RSI back down into something that's bettable. And let's see, Antonio, thank you for your past donations. He says, any thoughts on TAGS ETF? It's pretty cheap. Okay, so this is basically an agricultural fund. And what's kind of interesting about this is there's 4 funds that are in it. The cane sugar fund, corn, so these are ETFs here, the corn ETF, the soybean ETF, and the wheat ETF. And what they do is they rebalance this thing every day so that each one of these is a 25% weighting. Now, tags here in the daily, the RSI is pretty low. It's 34. During last week, it was like got down as low as 26. If we go out here to the weekly, it's broken through the 200 weekly. See, we're making lower lows. So a bit of a fear that we're catching a falling knife, but we do have pretty low weekly RSI as well. Now, what we can do here, Antonio, is I'm going to pull up these 4 cane, and we'll just take a quick look at these. Okay, kind of high on cane. That's 25% of the account. Pretty low on corn. Okay, and corn is also lining up with some back support. Soybeans, pretty low on soybeans, low RSI 29. So that's 2 out of 3 so far that are pretty low and look like decent buys. And then wheat is also pretty low, bounced, low RSI. So 3 out of the 4 of them here look like they're ready for a bounce. Yeah, I maybe an entry now, and then maybe again. I mean, this is almost kind of a trade. This one's pretty risky. Okay, so the expense ratio is fairly low for this one, but they're high for the other ones. But there's only 13.5 million in assets here. So this has tiny volume, limit orders only. Look, on Friday here, only 796 shares were traded, right? The day before that, 376, very low volume, but you know, has some violent moves here. So kind of a really neat way to play softs. But I think a limit order around now is kind of compelling. If you really follow these softs and think that they're going to do well, I think that's kind of a neat way to play that. If you guys want me to pull up your company and stocks, there's a link in the notes below for donations. You get some quick fundamentals like you just saw, and you see the technical entry points if I were buying, where I would do it. So certainly not investing advice, but this is just my opinion. And crude oil up 1%. This one's been kind of exciting. So up 1%, closed the week at $81.54. And this one is gold divided by crude oil. So oil is getting slightly more expensive. So as this chart goes down, oil is getting more expensive. Now it takes a little bit more than 28 barrels of oil to buy 1 ounce of gold. If we go back here, 30 seems to be kind of an interesting level. So I would expect that gold is going to start outperforming here compared to oil. XLE is up 1.5%. Okay, so this is pretty cool here. We had our number 1 bet hit, our number 2 bet hit. Would like to see crude oil get corrected just a little bit more if we get the recession. That is almost certain to happen. But you know, these are the dividends that you're going to get, or around that. You know, it's not going to be exact because it's an ETF. But you know, ballpark figure, I think those are really good entry points here for oil and this ETF XLE. ExxonMobil last week, Rick gave this one a ranking of a 3. We've had a bit of a price run up and would like to see the same sort of scenario play out here with ExxonMobil. But close the week at 115.12. I don't really see any entry points on this. RSI and stuff have come up. The time to buy was back here when the RSI was pretty low. What was that? That was 31, but now it's up at 55. So I'd like to see it correct just a little bit more. Maybe limit orders around this 200 moving average at like 109, 110. And Chevron up 0.7% for the week. Still like limit orders around 152. That just lines up with some back support and that gap right there. You know, if you're impatient, maybe 155 on the 200 moving average. Blackstone Minerals up 0.4% for the week. Here I wrote here, if you get it at $15.50, your dividend is going to be 9.6%. If you can snag it at $15, then you're going to get a 10% dividend. But, you know, just anywhere down around here, I think is a really good deal. Got a stink bid in down here for $15. $15.01. Freehold royalties still $13.50. Every time you get one of those shares at $13.50, you get 9 cents a month in dividends, which comes out to $1.08 per share every year. And assuming they don't lower their dividends, that's about 8%. Woodside Energy finally picking up here. Maybe our option is going to give us something. But I do like that this is starting to slope up. Although that bearish reversal bar on Friday isn't good, especially since it came up on this 100. But bias is slightly to the upside for next week. And Petrobras up 2.8% for the week. Maybe a $3.80 limit order lining up with some back support back there. A stink bid down here around 1340, 1350. Like this company a lot for the dividends. We'll see if they continue. I think there's some increased risk with the big thinkers of Brazil. Natural gas down 3.8% for the week. I'd expect this to come down and hit the 200 moving average, but look at what we're going to get. We're going to get a golden cross on Monday, moving to the upside, but technicals are still middle of the road, so I'd expect it to come down. Where we're playing natural gas is Devon, which is up 3.5% for the week. Got one order in back here at 46.27. I'd like another one. I think around. Okay, let me pull up the weekly here, and let me get this Fibonacci out of the way so that you guys can see it. Look at this 200 weekly right here, rising 200 weekly. That would put it around 45 bucks by the time it got there. And then we go back to the daily here and kind of around that same level, a little bit. Oh no, I take that back. The 200 daily is around 46.75, but 45 bucks would put a nice double bottom right here. And I think this company's already cheap. So, you know, if you have a life and want to go fishing, it's already turning up here in the RSI. You know, and you're not a cheapskate like me and want to wait to save a couple of pennies, then I think now is a good time. And Equitable had a nice little double bottom right here. Technicals are getting low, 35 on the RSI, so that's what we want to see. It's flat for the week, but I like a limit order down here around 34, 35, but decent entry right now, actually. And coal, this is kind of exciting. Okay, so here's thermal coal, closed the week still at 133. Look at what happened to met coal. We were way up here at one point, up into the 255. Last week, we're basically at 250, and bam, dropped down to 233. So I thought that that would create some deals here. It kind of did. I mean, in the coal ETF, I think a limit order right here, creating a double bottom at 2330 would be a nice entry point. For Glencore, kind of where we are now, maybe a little bit lower on this 200 moving average would put you at like $11.15. And, you know, not great dividends right now, but they are rapidly paying off that tech acquisition. And when that happens, I fully expect their dividends to get north of 4 or 5%. All righty, and AMR is down. So it looks like our little nitpicking here, we could have gotten it even cheaper. I remember originally we had a limit order in here for 265 and finally decided that was a pipe dream. So just pulled our final bets at 290 and 292, but it's getting even cheaper. So if you want a coal play, according to Matt Warder, which is the best one on the planet. Since met coal got hit, AMR is getting hit as well, and so is Warrior met coal. Decent entry point now. And Warrior met coal, same kind of thing. I believe laser eyes are now at $60, which makes sense. It's coming up on this rising 200 moving average. 60 bucks would hit right around there. And BTU is up 1.1% for the week, has coming into a nice little double bottom. I think there might be an argument here for catching some options on this again, and maybe rinse and repeating what we did just right there. Pretty bearish looking bar there on Friday. So if this comes back down to like 2150, 2160, I might run another option on this one. And platinum is up 1.8% for the week, above $1,000. That's kind of cool. But I would love to see this come back down around the 200 moving average. So last week, our support was at 235. With this rising 200-day moving average, that's now around, what did I say, 245? I'm at $935. If platinum was 235, then something would be wrong on the planet. Okay, so I think right around like 940 might be the time you enter your coin shop. Way to play this on the stock market is PPLT. Still like the limit orders at 85, maybe now 86 as the 200 moving average is moving up, and then stink bid around 80. Palladium just shy of $1,000, although it's up 5.8% for the week. Still like limit orders down here around 860, 870. The way to play that is PALL. Your limit orders for $85 hit last week. And so new limit orders will be down around $80 to $79. And if you want to just buy one of them and forget about it, SPPP, you get both platinum and palladium. Had a couple orders hit back here around what did we get that for? 949 and 946. So we'll call it $9.50. You know, if it gets back down there, I think that would be a buy, and then also have a stink bid in down here for $9. Pretty cool. Nickel futures, basically flat for the week. Still sitting around 17,000 a ton. The nickel ETF, so we had our limit order hit back here for 13.25. Got our final stink bid in here for $12.60. Although look at how sold off this is. RSI got down into like 26, 28. Now's probably a decent time. If you don't have any nickel and you want nickel, if I didn't already have a bunch of this, I'd probably be buying more. But, you know, I already got quite a bit, so I'm hoping it gets cheaper. All righty, Centaurus Metals, another interview is coming up. We're going to be interviewing Darren Gordon. This one's up 3% for the week. Like this one a lot. Got in on Thursday, so got it for 29 cents. Remember, your brokerage firm is probably going to charge you for this one. Joe called Interactive Brokers to see if he could get them to put it on Interactive Brokers, and after putting in quite a bit of time, they basically told him, thanks, but no thanks, we're not going to do it. Don't know why. I got mine off of Schwab, but it's 50 bucks a transaction, and I think someone wrote in and said that it's only $5 a transaction if you're an Aussie. So, what is this? Iron ore. Okay, so still flat for the week, still at 107. Hasn't really been doing anything for a couple of weeks. And the companies that are heavily invested in that would be BHP and Rio Tinto. BHP was in a nice little buy zone back here week before last. I think it's probably going to hit down there again. I think it's probably going to get to $55 or $56, and I think that would be a nice entry point. I've got a limit order in here for 55 bucks. Rio Tinto, same kind of thing. Look at this double bottom right here. RSI is at 37, so getting kind of sold off right in a Fibonacci right here. I got my stink bids in down here for like $60 and I think 58. I probably need to pull those and just get in my final position if this peters out just a little bit. But yeah, I don't mind an entry point right now at all if you don't have any. And this one's still kind of interesting. So we got, this is cocoa futures. And cocoa futures have dropped down down 15% for the week, and coffee futures are up 1% for the week. But the way we're playing this is thanks to Adrian Day. So we got in at Nestle here around 99 bucks and debated, you know, after 5 days or whatever, it shot up 10% and then thought about turning this into a trade. But the reason I bought these was because I think cocoa is at the high end of the chart, and so is coffee at the high end of the chart. And I think it's likely that both of these are going to correct, which makes Nestle have to pay less for the commodity that they're required to have to make their product. Once that does correct, I expect Nestle to go up. Caveat with this one is with an impending recession, this is probably going to get hit as well. So they pay 2% dividend annually, so not the end of the world. And Bitcoin coming down here. So we drew a bull flag, it broke out, and then now it's just kind of just trading in this little range here. I kind of like this little box tool. If you guys want to try out TradingView for free for 30 days, there's a link in the notes below. I love this software. You can just really quickly, kind of find entry points and stuff. Now check this out. Okay, so Bitcoin on the daily here, the RSI is getting down 25. So that was a tick if you could catch it around 58,000. We'll see if it just continues to trade in this little box right here. I would expect it's going to bounce off the 200 daily here and then kind of capture it to the upside. So if you're a trader here, might be an interesting point to catch up to get some more Bitcoin. However, when you look at the weekly, the RSI is still pretty high and looking like it's sloping down here. So, word to the wise. All righty. Well, I hope you guys got something out of that. I hope to see you at the symposium, if not on the live stream. And that is half the cost of the symposium and zero cost for travel. I did the live stream last year, and a lot of the companies that you see here, I got from the symposium. Be sure to submit your questions for the companies that we're going to be interviewing, and for all of the living legends, they'll be posting that under the community tab. So please put them all there. Don't put them under here. Just put your company questions in these show notes. And make sure you check out the book. If you're new to investing and you've just learned that commodities is the answer and NVIDIA and Tesla are not, this will give you for 10 bucks a baseline understanding of the thesis and where to put your money and even companies to bet on. Thank you for tuning in. Share this with anyone that you think needs to hear it. It's probably your buddy that can't stop talking about tech stocks. You have yourself a great rest of the day, and we will talk to you next time.